All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan, and I'm the pastor here. It's good to be with you on another Saturday evening. And to remind y'all, or if you're new with us and you've never heard this before, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction. And we create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And by the way, what don't we do here? Yeah, we don't do shame in this community. So if you've been beaten down with shame, know that in this place, you're not going to get that in this community. Welcome to all of you online joining us from all different kinds of states, whatever time it is. Welcome to Free. Or if you're joining later in the week, welcome to Free. If you're in your living room or sober living house or free circle or bathroom or garage, wherever you are, welcome. We're glad you're part of this community. You're an important part of this community. And to all of you here in person, even all you back rowers, it's good to have you here. Welcome. A few things you might want to know about. Should we just start where it's good? Just start with all the good? Y'all, I finally get to say this. Free has found a new home. Oh my goodness. Now sometimes God thinks God has a funny sense of humor. You know what tonight's message is? I mean, we planned this a while back. Trust the process. God sometimes, yeah, Ryan, we're gonna learn this together. You're gonna trust the process, and then you're gonna preach on it that night. Uh-oh, did we just start over? So let me tell you all a little bit about it so you can join with us in the excitement. Y'all, we waited and waited and waited. You know we got our 60-day note. So let me back up a little bit. You know a deal fell through that we were engaged in for 3 months to purchase. It fell through early August. 3 weeks ago, yesterday, we received our 60-day notice. We freaked out just a little bit. I'm trying to trust, but you get a little bit freaked out along the way. And you're like, oh my goodness, in like 40 days, we're going to be homeless. And then gifts just kind of happen. And do y'all know those kinds of gifts that you get and you don't really realize it until you've had time to process it? So it was this morning when Tammy and I were writing the email that went out, that goes out every Saturday morning, and then when we were writing the social media posts on Facebook and Insta, and it's like we were listing out about what this property has, and it's like, oh my goodness, everything we wanted, everything we needed, this space has. 11,000 square feet. Like that's more than we needed, right? But we'll take it. We'll take it. It's got an auditorium big enough to sit 200 plus people. It's got plenty of rooms for our kids, plenty of rooms for 12-step meetings and other meetings that we do in this community. We want it to be, we've said this 100 different times, we want it to function as a recovery center, a daily center where its community is happening, not just on Saturday nights, but all week long. And this space has plenty of room for our cafe and community gatherings because y'all know Wagon Coffee is going to be roasting in there, and we're going to set up the cafe so that you can just drop in and drink your coffee and in time have some grab and go items. But it's got all that. How many kids are back there right now? Like 100 different kids? Okay, that's an exaggeration, not by much though. We got plenty of space for our kids, and the spiritual formation of children we take seriously in this community. As of like 3 weeks ago when we brought Alyssa on board because we saw it as a need. So anyway, y'all, I just got the blessing to tell you where this is literally like 3 hours ago, because they had to notify all their groups that are in there, because we will be the sole lease of this space with the potential opportunity to buy this space. We'll be engaging that conversation in the coming days. It is Downing and Evans area, Evans and Downing, DU area, just next to the DU campus, which is my old stomping grounds. I did campus ministry at DU for 5 years and was one of the associate pastors at University Park for 1 year, University Park United Methodist Church. And they actually own this building. It's called the Evanston Center. It will be called Free Spiritual Community. And we will be moving sometime in November. I don't have the exact date yet. We've got to be out of here November 9th. So sometime after that, we will be there. Now, let me tell y'all something, because some of y'all are going to make comments, which is totally cool. We are going to go in and put some free spin to it, because part of it is kind of old and churchy. It's just what it is. It's a bit old and churchy. We're going to go in and put some free spin to it. We've got a team lined up. We're going to have all kinds of volunteers, aka y'all. to help do all this. And it's going to be good. We're going to make it our own. We are going to take seriously our mission of breaking the silence of addiction for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees, people who have been burned by religion and burned by the church. So we're going to take this space and create a home out of it, just like we did with this little space here that's been so good for us. So God is good. And you'll get more information in the coming days, like next week when we'll line up some dates. If you've got any questions, let me know. I am happy to talk about it. But let me tell you some other things that are coming up. Do I need to read this text right now? Nah. $100 gift card to T-Mobile. I don't need that. Okay. So here's what's coming up. So I wanted to start with that so we can line out the next couple of weeks for y'all. Next week's going to be normal. Just come here. Then the next week, October 23rd, and we'll put this on email and social media. We're doing just like we did last year, free movie night in the park, family movie night. We're going to watch the movie Shrek. How good is that going to be? There it is, October 23rd. We'll throw this on social this week too. We're going to provide the food and drinks. We'll probably have a food truck there or pick up a bunch of pizzas. The food will start at 6, so come then. The movie won't start to 7 because it does have to be dark. And it'll be in Highland Heritage Park. There's the address. We have 3 pavilions, same place as last year. That was such a great turnout. But y'all, we want this to be a giving back event. So we are partnering with After Hours Denver, a ministry in downtown Denver. Logan Robertson is the pastor there. He's going to come and share with us what we're doing. But they've been doing this for many, many years. Thankful for Long Johns on Thanksgiving Day, where we distribute different Long John items and socks and other items downtown Denver to our friends there without homes. And After Hours leads that. And so when you come to the movie night, part of coming means bring like a pair of socks, preferably, not preferably, do it. A new pair of socks, not an old pair of socks, all right? Or some thermals, whatever y'all have. We want to be a blessing to other people and give back and have some fun and watch a movie together. Bring your friends, bring your family, bring whoever wants to come. It's going to be a fun evening. That's in 2 weeks from tonight. And it's the movie Shrek. How can you go wrong with that? Okay, then the following week is October 30th. Sorry, y'all. I realize I'm saying a lot right now. Following week is October 30th. We're doing a baptism night here. That'll be probably our last Saturday night here. We do baptisms in the wagon. If you are interested in baptism and you haven't talked to me yet, I've got all of you who've talked to me. I've got you on a list on my phone. If you're interested and you haven't talked to me yet, talk to me. We're going to have a What is Baptism meeting on the 14th of October. So that's in just a couple of weeks. Right here, it's just an hour. We'll talk about what baptism is. If you want to be baptized, we do it in a wagon on Saturday the 30th. And I know this. Yeah, Saman, you've done it? Yeah. Did you say the best? It's the best. It was the best. I mean, you've only done it once, but it was the best. I know, it was awesome. It's a community thing, so all y'all are coming, I hope. Okay, guys, that's what's coming up, and I will keep you in a loop with when the move actually happens. Hey, I forgot to give you the address. It's 2122 South Lafayette Street, Denver. Y'all can Google it. Okay. You already did? Patience. I'm excited, too. I'm glad you're excited. Okay, y'all, we are going to, the way we start in this community is with celebrations. We celebrate together. We lift up the good stuff, the new thing happening in your life, the new babies, the new jobs, the new sobriety anniversaries. That's how we do it here. So let's take 3 minutes. If you're online, give us the good news online. If it feels a little creepy to type it in, that's okay. Get creepy with it. We're going to love you and support you here and celebrate together. If you're here, we'll do our own thing. We believe that God joins us in these celebrations. So let's celebrate, shall we? Let's keep celebrating. Take 3 and we'll come right back.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride and find myself, I am alive, and I soar. Still I run towards the wind and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. We are all looking was meant to be. Living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. I'm living free, living free.
All right. That is so awesome. Hey, can I just say before we start with our online peeps, if you saw on social, you saw 3 different pictures in front of this week of people holding up their sobriety date. We had 2 years, 2 years, right? Yeah, 2 years, 11 years, 1 year. Dara, who's our guest storyteller tonight. Yes. So awesome. 11 months. This is so good. All right, shall we celebrate with our online people?
Yeah.
Let's do it, Saman.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
No, I want you to go first.
Okay. Amy Curtis. My dad Dave received his 9-month chip last week. Yay! That's amazing.
Way to go, Amy. That's awesome. Way to go, Dave. So cool. Martha says, we know Martha. This is the mother of our storyteller tonight. Martha says, celebrating 1 year for Dara. Love you, Mom and Dad. Martha, we're glad you're with us. And Dad, we're glad you're with us tonight. Tuning in all the way from Iowa, right? Georgia. Where did I get Iowa? Same place.
No. Christy. Let's see. Grateful. My friend's mom is off COVID isolation, and although still on the vent, my friend is able to be there holding her hand. That's huge because a lot of people don't get that right now. So
What's happening in the back?
the kids are celebrating
They're
too.
celebrating
Yeah.
hardcore. I don't know how good it is, but it sounds really
I don't
good
know if
back
you can
there.
hear them, but they're screaming back there.
Hey, thank you for sharing that with
Yes.
us, Christy. Important stuff.
Oh, and there's Jen.
Or they saw a snake. Jen says our
Or a rat.
rescue, Jack's Furry Tail Rescues, has had 60 animals adopted into loving forever. See what she did
Forever.
there? Forever?
Yes.
Homes since our inception, which was just like recently, a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
We love what we do. God be the glory. Hey, we'll celebrate that
Yes.
with you, Jen. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, you
Let's
guys
do one- should we do one more?
do a lot of work for that. Yeah, if we have one.
Let's do one
we have
more.
one more? Okay. Denny Colella. Isn't that how you like to say that?
Olala.
Did I
Yes,
say
you
that
said
right?
it
Okay.
appropriately.
Celebrating our amazing volunteers at Free. They make this place feel like home. Well, everybody makes this place feel like
Let's
home.
give it
but
up for the volunteers.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
volunteers. There's a lot that goes in, especially the tech team. Like, everybody stepped up for tech team, home team as well.
And you're the what?
The lead of home team.
The lead of home team.
So,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, we have
and
great
we're
people
going to
here.
be needing a lot of help as we move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Right, you're welcome.
Simon. All right. It's good to celebrate with y'all. It's always good to celebrate with you all. So, did I tell y'all we're in this series called Faith After Doubt? We're still in it. It's a 6-week series. Here's a little video. All right, so this is week 4 of Faith After Doubt, week 4 of week 6, and this week it is on trusting the process. Yeah, now y'all have heard me say for the past 3 weeks that your doubt is welcome here. And truly, I mean that. Really, your doubt is welcome here. We are not threatened by your doubt. This community is not threatened. God is not threatened by your doubt. God's not threatened by your biggest, deepest questions. Religion might be, but God is not. However, there is another truth here that I don't want to miss, and that is, if you live only into your doubt, you will lead a life that is boring, meaningless, and lonely. Totally devoid of beauty and mystery. Are you with me? I know it's a bit harsh, but stay with me. Now, Brian McLaren, who we're doing this series after, he wrote the book called Faith After Doubt. And in this book, and we're also doing the book study on it on Wednesday nights, it's been awesome. In this book, he identifies the 4 categories. He calls them 4 stages for faith development, the 4 stages of faith development. And he realizes, acknowledges, admits from the outset that anytime you set out these kinds of categories, they can fall short a bit, so hold them lightly. They can also be abused, and don't do that. But he says to us, doubt is the passageway from each stage to the next. So I want to share with you these 4 stages. It's essentially what the book is built on. The 4 stages of your faith development, and I tried to define them in just 1 or 2 sentences. And even if you haven't read the book, I think you're going to find this stuff fascinating. You are going to resonate with some of these stages. The first stage of faith development is this one called simplicity. Simplicity is marked by dualism, right versus wrong. This is when the world is black and white. Everything is black and white. It's either right or wrong. It's us and them. In simplicity, you learn how to obey the rules passed down from the authorities. You learn how to be good. You learn how to mimic the practices necessary for belonging. Stage 2, complexity. We're just breezing through these. There's 4 of them. Stage 2 is complexity. It's when we begin to push back on the authorities. It's when things aren't so black and white anymore. We have questions of the religion that was handed down to us because we're not children any longer. We want to self-differentiate. We want to think for ourselves as self-reliant individuals. Then stage 3, he calls it perplexity. In this stage, honesty is expected. Critique is inevitable. Doubt is a virtue. In perplexity, you are relentlessly challenging the status quo. You don't trust any system, and there's no room for BS. And in perplexity, deconstruction is key. Brian McLaren says, by the way, that most churches, many churches, are stuck in stages 1 and 2, while a big portion of society is firmly resting in stage 3, which leads him to the 4th one, and that is harmony. In the stage of harmony, you realize that life is a mysterious gift. You begin seeking understanding, connection, and the common good. You have this reverent openness to the mystery of God, and faith is expressed in love, and it's not deconstruction that's key, but it's humility that's key. So my brothers and sisters, for the next 3 weeks, we are going to essentially deal with stage 4, harmony. Now, in my experience, it is really easy to live in stage 3, perplexity, to live in that place of deconstruction. Deconstruct everything until there's nothing left. This was my life in my later college years and seminary years and just out of seminary. My life was built around, tell me your theology and I'll tell you why it sucks. I'll tell you why you're not competent. Tell me about your God and I'll poke holes in that God. And see what this did for me. And by the way, it's why I always, when I got to seminary, it's why I was studying to be a professor, not a pastor. And what that did for me that time in my life was it allowed me to have no real commitment to any sort of community ethos. Because the second I could poke a hole in something, guess who was out of there? I was gone. And what I now know in looking back at that time in my life was that I was wrestling with my own doubts. And what I can tell you is, looking back on my life at that time, that God was with me in that time, leading me, pulling me forward. God doesn't abandon us in those moments. God was leading me somewhere. But see, it's the reconstruction. That's the hard work, isn't it? It's the reconstructing of your faith to create something meaningful. The deconstruction, some of y'all can do that all day long. I mean, you have that choice. Some of y'all know how to live in that. Some of y'all have done so much deconstructing in your life, you don't know what's left. You're good at it. You've read enough books. Some of y'all, you get that puffed up pride and ego that says, look at me, I feel smart now because I just poked a hole in everything. It's the reconstructing of faith that is always the more difficult work. And to quote one of my seminary professors, I said this last week, I'll re-quote it again. He stood before the class and he said, don't ever let a teacher or a professor or religious leader stand before you and do the work of deconstructing without joining you in the hard work of reconstructing something meaningful. It's easy to deconstruct. It's the reconstruction. And y'all, let me stress, it is not, I hope you hear me say this a ton, it is not about setting aside your questions or setting aside your doubts. Please don't do that. We need your questions. You need your questions. We need your doubts. You need your doubts. But y'all know as well as I know that some of our questions, they are rooted, they come from a place, they are born out of deconstruction. Other questions are born out of a true humility, an awe, a mystery. You know what I mean? So just this week we were laying in bed. It was about 9 o'clock at night. Tammy and I are laying there. And our little daughter, Shiloh, who's 8 years old, she comes into the bedroom to tell us goodnight, gives us hugs and kisses, and she jumps up in bed and she just snuggles us for a minute. And I could tell her mind was racing. If you have kids, you know that look they get, right? Her mind is going. I finally say, baby, what are you thinking about? Don't ever ask that question at 9 o'clock if you're tired. She says, Poppy, I don't understand. If God created everything, well then who created God? Some questions are born out of a pure humility and awe and wonder and mystery. And I said, baby, that is a great question. People have been asking this question for the ages. I'm not sure we have a good answer. I said, I think God has always been and God is good. And y'all, in that moment, I saw it happening. Sometimes you get to see this happen with your kids. In that moment, I literally watched her mind do this. Oh, do we not have it? We don't have it. You know that mind-blowing emoji? Yeah, her mind was completely blown like, oh my goodness, what does that do to the concept of time? If God's always been here, well, who created God? What do you mean we don't know? How do we figure this out, Poppy? Now, y'all know it's a good week when this happens not just once, but twice in the same week, because 2 nights later, we're sitting at the dinner table, and Tammy had asked one of our kids to pray, and they started praying, and they got done, and then we started eating, and little Shiloh, who's standing in the back, do you remember this, baby? You said, isn't it weird? Again, some questions are born out of pure humility. She says, isn't it weird? Why do we pray before we eat? That's a good question. Why do y'all pray before you eat? Tammy responds, that's a great question, baby. As one of our mentors told us, we pray before we eat because it's what separates us from the cattle. Cattle, see, they just bend down and they start to graze. But we realize that there's a source behind it all. We realize that there's a source behind this food we're about to eat, so we pause and give thanks. We pause and give thanks and gratitude to God. Once again that week, mind blown. This is why we pray. Now y'all think about it. For mystery and humility, this is not a foreign concept for many of us in this room, isn't it? Is it? We traded certainty for mystery and humility a long time ago. And it's a good thing. It's how we live. For those of you in recovery, what do we have? Higher power. Some of us choose to call that higher power God. I call higher power God. And how do we live it? 1 week at a time. No, that's not right, is it? 1 day at a time. I cannot tell y'all how many people have tried to get me to say over the course of my sobriety, but Ryan, you're never going to drink again, are you? And I know it would provide them all sorts of comfort for them to hear me say that. And I have to tell them, much to their dismay every time they ask, I can't say that. Because when I say that, I'm stepping out of my lane. When I say that, I'm not trusting really in higher power and what God can do in my life. See, something really profound happens when we live 1 day at a time. When we live, what's the Lord's Prayer say? Give us this day our monthly bread. Or weekly bread. Well, God, just tell me. What's next year going to look like? Because then I might need to stockpile some over here. No. Something really profound happens when we trust that God is going to provide today. It's how we live. And when you live there, some days your sobriety, some days it is such a gift. Your recovery is such a gift. And you're filled with all kinds of gratitude because you're not exactly sure how this happened. You could talk to me all day long about the tools and the program you work, but you look at your life and you're like, how in the world did this happen? Is it true? Mind blown. My friends, stay curious in this life. Keep asking your questions. Don't get stuck there, though. Keep asking the questions, but if you get stuck there, you might work yourself into isolation. And that for some of us is deadly. Keep expressing your doubts, but don't get stuck in them. Listen, you don't have to have all the answers to move forward. Your theology, your spirituality does not have to be wrapped up in a nice, neat box with a pretty bow on top in order to give yourselves over to the mysteries of God. Y'all, again, I speak autobiographically on this one. I had that. I had the nice, neat theology box. I had what I thought were all the God answers. For me, God was an academic project. It was an intellectual endeavor. And guess what? I was still drunk. I could not get sober because what I had to learn is religion can't save you from that. Only God can save that. You can't think your way out of this stuff. You can't think enough about God. You can't read enough about God. At some point, you have to be in relationship with God. And you know, living into that mystery, it demands a great deal of humility, doesn't it? Admitting we don't have all the answers. Dang, that's hard to do, isn't it? You know, my sponsor, Sergeant Major, he's been sober for like 150 years. That's only a minor exaggeration. Sorry, Sergeant Major, if you're watching, it's been, I know, 40-something years, 44 years, I think. You know, still to this day, every time he shares his experience, strength, and hope, he ends the same way. God, thank you for my sobriety. It's a very simple yet profound reminder that there's a source behind it all, that God is still doing for him what he could not do for himself. There's a great deal of humility that is involved in the mystery. You know, I've been to the Holy Land twice. Do we have the picture that I wanted to show? I forgot to send y'all pictures tonight. I got so excited. Oh, there, we do have it. Cool. I've been to the Holy Land twice. The first time was in 2004, and then Tammy and I went in 2004. Actually, we were dating at the time, not even married yet. Went on a college trip together, and then I went again in 2014, 10 years later. I caught this on the second time. I didn't catch it on the first. Both trips we went to the Church of the Nativity. It's in Bethlehem in the West Bank. The Church of the Nativity is the venerated site. It's the site that was chosen to recognize the birth of the Christ. That door, it's less than 5 feet tall. I thought they just made it as a structural error. I thought it was maybe to make shorter people feel like they were taller. And to be honest with you, I didn't think much about it. I just know you had to kind of duck down and bow down to go in. You know what it's called? There's an actual name for it. I didn't know there was an actual name. It's called the Doorway of Humility. And the message is really simple. If you want to experience the sacred, you've got to humble yourself. You know, and I do get it. I know that some of you are currently moving through these stages of faith. And man, you're not exactly sure what you believe anymore. You're not sure what's happening. And some of you are bent on deconstructing everything because it's easier. You're trying to get sober or clean and it's not working. So it's just easier to deconstruct all the God stuff, poke holes in it. It's easier to deconstruct a need for community. Or some of you you've just become so weary and exhausted of watching your loved one pick up another drink or pick up another drug, and it's easier to deconstruct because it's really hard to give yourself to the mysteries of faith. Or maybe you're a spiritual refugee and you have been so burned by religion, you have been so burned and hurt by church as an institution, and you could sit with me all day long and you could tell me what's wrong with God, you could tell me what's wrong with religion, you could tell me what's wrong with the church, you could tell me all the things you're against rather than the things you're for, and at some point, very early on, you and I are both going to get really bored. Because it's a boring conversation. Because see, when you're stuck there, when you're stuck in stage 3 perplexity, you miss out on the most beautiful things. When you are busy just poking holes in everything, you miss out on love for others, love from others, gratitude, mystery, community, or you're the one that stands back and you're going to poke a hole in the community. And as soon as you do that, you check out. And guess what? You can do that. You have the freedom, the power to check out. And let me just be really honest with you. If this community has not disappointed you yet, stay a little bit longer. They will disappoint you. If this pastor has not disappointed you yet, I promise you at some point along the way, I am going to disappoint you. And guess what? You have the choice. I'm either going to stay and engage or I'm going to check out. You know, Brian McLaren, the author of the book, he says he wishes he could go back to his younger self, his younger, more agonized self, and bring this message. And it's from one of the pages of his book, and I want to read it. It's such a beautiful message he writes to his younger self. Here's what he says. I know that your perplexity feels like a dead end, but wait, endure, persist. Do your work, see it through, hang in there, trust the process, and it will become a passageway, a birth canal. You actually need this purgation and unknowing to prepare you for the new depth of living, knowing, and loving. There is much that deserves to be doubted, and if you really care about the truth, you must pursue it, using doubt as a necessary tool. It's not your only tool, but it is one of your tools. I know you feel that everything you value is slipping through your fingers, but don't clench your fists. Open your hands. Your open hands, open eyes, and open heart will prepare the way for new gains, not just new thoughts, but new ways of thinking. You have already added dualistic thinking, stage 1, pragmatic thinking, stage 2, and critical, deconstructive thinking, stage 3 to your skill set. But you will soon learn a new skill, unitive or non-dual seeing, in which knowing and unknowing, faith and doubt, clarity and mystery are not opposites, but complements. And y'all, what I know is we've got to keep doing this hard work together in community. We can't get stuck in stage 3. We'll miss too much. Danny's going to talk about this next week. Danny's going to bring the message, and I'm going to be the guest storyteller. He's going to interview me. Danny's going to talk about the importance of community. Don't screw it up, Danny. He's going to do awesome. You know, my brothers and sisters, I am not encouraging you to set aside your doubts or stop asking your questions. No, we need them. You need them too. But I do want to ask you a more challenging question. And that is, are you able to doubt your understanding of God while at the same time trusting God beyond your understanding? You know, as a kid, we had this way of memorizing Scripture. I grew up in the church, active in the church. We had this way of memorizing Scripture, and it was through song. And you don't ever sing more songs than you sing at church camp. You know what I mean? Anyone been to church camp as a kid? Man, we sang till we couldn't sing anymore. And one of those songs we learned was this song called Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which comes from the Old Testament scriptures in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Clever title, isn't it? The NIV, New International Version, it's one of the translations of the Bible. It translates it this way: trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. Now keep in mind, the book of Proverbs is just this ancient collection of ancient wisdom sayings is what it is. And I think this ancient wisdom saying, it tells us something really profound. It highlights something so important. And that is, there's a big difference in doubting God and doubting your understanding of God. You see, I doubt my understanding of God all the time. It's like a mode of being for Ryan. In fact, I didn't know I was going to be thrown into so much doubt when we started Free Spiritual Community. You ever want to go through all the stages of doubt? You want to really get into doubt in your life? Start something new or take a new step in your life. In my experience, you'll doubt God, you'll doubt people, you'll doubt community, you'll doubt systems, and you'll doubt yourself. Happens all the time. You see, doubting our understanding of God, it's how we grow. It brings us into deeper trust. We have to take that step. We have to doubt our understanding. 1 month into starting free, so it would have been July of 2018. It was 1 month into starting free. Patty Agnew. Patty, if you're watching tonight, I'm glad you're here. Patty was such a monumental person in getting free off the ground. She was a huge support to Tammy and I. She's a fellow clergy, fellow pastor, and she started a new thing too in her work. And she wrote me this email, and I don't know if you all have these, but I highly recommend it. Get an encouraging email mailbox and put your encouraging emails in that mailbox, and on those hard weeks, read those emails. This is one of the emails that got saved into my encouraging emails. She wrote, and I'll just read a portion of it. She said, I had to learn to trust God deeper than I had before. On a regular basis, if God didn't show up, the whole thing could collapse. Part of that trusting was learning to trust God's timing. So I had to learn more about discerning where the wave of the Spirit was moving and at what pace, so I could align with that. Time and time again, God's pace was slower than mine, but always worked out. I definitely see the Spirit at work in and through free, so trust in that. It might not all go as you think it will. In fact, it won't. It most likely won't go at the pace you imagine. Preach it. But God is in it. Keep focused on that. Keep taking it step by step and trust God from the bottom of your heart. Here's a favorite verse I turn to often. And then she wrote Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 from the Message, another translation called the Message. And I love what the Message does with it. Can you throw it on the screen? Trust God from the bottom of your heart. Don't try to figure everything out. Don't try to figure out everything on your own. Listen for God's voice in everything you do. Everywhere you go, He's the one who will keep you on track. My brothers and sisters, are you able to trust the process when it comes to your life, when it comes to your recovery, when it comes to not having all the answers? Are you able to trust God from the bottom of your heart, even in the midst of your really messy spirituality? So I want you to take a moment and reflect. Is it possible for you to doubt your understanding of God while at the same time doubting? Did I say that wrong? Yeah. Is it possible to doubt your understanding of God while at the same time trusting God beyond your understanding? Take a moment and reflect. We'll come right back. All right, I was busy startling someone in the back. All right, y'all. Man, so I hope you see we're transitioning in our doubt a little bit. We're gonna move stages. I hope you didn't miss the first 3 weeks of our doubt, where we affirmed doubt. Doubt is a good thing. We need doubt, but we can't stop there. So I hope you're on this journey with us. Dara is going to join us on the journey tonight. Oh, you're mic'd up. Sweet. So if you're new with us in this community, each Saturday night we have a guest storyteller in the house to share with us some hope on the theme that we're dealing with. And tonight it is Dara Kaplan, who just celebrated 1 year sober. And man, and hearing some of her story, there is not a better topic for you to talk about than trusting the process. Is it true? So let's trust the process, and let's help me welcome Dara to the table. Dara, are
Ryan,
you nervous?
I am nervous.
You know, we were talking before, and by the way, I get to be in your position next week and feel all the nerves of a guest storyteller. I have no clue what Danny's going to ask me. He could be asking questions on the fly. But we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
The butterflies we get when we get in front of people, it's a good thing. The nerves we get, it's a good thing. I have them, and seriously, I'm not making this up. Every single Saturday night I have these. In fact, they start about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Really. And they're a good thing because they let us know that we're still alive and breathing and our faith is active and we care about this stuff. It's important. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're a little nervous. And your mom and dad are joining us, so they're giving you all sorts of good vibes right now. So Dara joins us as of course, a recovering addict, recovering alcoholic, also loved one of an addict, and we'll get into that in just a bit. But she had this, and I want you to tell us about it, this, what you called a near-death experience on your 30th birthday 3 years ago. Sorry to give away your age, but you woke up, I believe, and no, you weren't in the hospital yet, but you were on your way, and you had a .5 BAC, blood alcohol content.
Yes,
which is a
I
near-death
did.
experience, especially for you.
Yes.
Tell us
So
about it.
I don't remember very much of the events that took place leading up to me waking up at Black Bear Lodge, which is a treatment center in Georgia. I had gone home from work that day. Nobody knew that I had that piece of alcoholism. They knew that I had been working on some depression. My best friend had a feeling. To this day, there are several things I can't explain, but she had a feeling that there was something wrong. And I lived a mile away from work. She left. Somehow, the fortress of an apartment that I lived at, the gates were open. They were broken. She was able to come in. My front door, which is always locked, was wide open. My dog was there, and he led her to me. And of course, I had been drinking. The reason I didn't feel well at work was because I was still probably drunk from the night before. But she found me with a passed out, sweating, not breathing, purple, and called the paramedics. So I don't have an explanation to this day of what made her, besides God, what made her come and find me. But she called 911. I don't remember very much. And I remember waking up and seeing the wood paneling at Black Bear Lodge. And I was pissed because I was 30. I was alive, which I wasn't happy about. And I was sober, which I didn't know what to do with either. And that was the first time that I got sober.
And so I think the obvious question, people who don't understand, and I'm always reminded in this community we have people joining us online and in person who truly don't understand. The question is, can't you just stop drinking? Come on, can't you get it together and stop drinking? And the answer to that is, well, if Dara almost died, she would stop drinking, right?
One would think.
One would think. By the way, do we have any pictures of? I'm going to send them to you. Yeah. I forgot. You sent them to me. I'm going to send them. I forgot to send them. Go ahead, Dara. Sorry.
You would think, and I did. After that scared me enough that I did everything that was suggested of me. I completed the program. I lived in a sober living. I almost everything that was suggested. You are not supposed to get into a relationship in your first year of recovery, and of course I did. But I took suggestion and I did what I was supposed to do, or what I thought I was supposed to do. But it was a different approach at that time. I think I was just again doing what I thought I was supposed to do versus this time, which is a little bit different. But I stayed sober for about a year and a half until everything kind of came crashing down around me. And yeah.
So, after the year and a half, tell us what happened, because this has everything to do with trusting the process.
Yes. So I just went into a downward spiral and completely lost myself. It's hard to explain where it started, but I just stopped with all my connections. I got pretty angry with God. I lost a lot in that year. This is 2020. I was so angry. I felt like God had taken everything away from me that I loved, and I couldn't understand. It's not that I never believed in God. I believed in him. I just thought he took everything away from me. And I could not stop drinking that time.
Can you hone in on that for just a moment? Because I think that's what you're describing as doubt.
Complete doubt. I felt
Believed in God, but you didn't believe God was for you.
Right. I felt like I had done everything right, and I had tried so hard, and I just didn't believe that it was going to work out. How could I almost die and get my life back and then it all fall back apart? And complete doubt. I didn't have any faith. I figured I was done for. I didn't see a life after that. And I proceeded to, just fall into depression and my alcohol. I was ready to die. And I did not think that I had another chance. I really didn't.
So you got on a plane.
I got on a plane. I had my kind of moment with God. I don't know what it was. It was one night where it was either I felt my body deteriorating on me,
And this
right?
was a year ago, right?
This was a year ago.
September.
September 29th, I got on an airplane. Before I got on the plane, I had my moment with God. I was either going to die or I was going to make a change. And my prayer was for a path. I remember crying that night and just saying, if you have a path, if you have an answer, show it to me. However crazy it is, I'll follow it. And the next day I called my cousin, who is in recovery, who we were not close at the time. Yeah. Something just told me to call him. And I told him, I talked to him the other day. He said that I was...
Is he here tonight, by the way?
No, he's not. But he's watching. And he says that I was speaking gibberish at this time to him.
Probably true.
Which I don't remember. But he just told me to get on an airplane and come to Denver and do what he did. He went through a program called Red Rock Recovery. And at that point, I had prayed for a path, and here it was. It was insane. I lived in Georgia. All my family is in Georgia. Everything I know is in Georgia. And I got on that airplane. And since then...
Were you scared?
Terrified.
Okay, bad question. What were you... Was it just the end of your rope and this is the only thing I know to do right now?
It was absolutely the end of my rope. I had turned into a person that I despised. Yeah. I couldn't wake up and exist anymore because I hated who I was so much. I was just gone. The life in my eyes was gone.
And was the thinking, anything has to be better than this right now?
Yeah.
I'm going to get on a plane.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't even know where the heck I'm going.
I had no idea what it would look like. And I had no plans to move here permanently. I had no plans to stay here. I didn't know what it looked like. I just was literally taking one step after the next step after the next step. Complete 30 days in detox. Okay, done. Go home? No. I prayed about it. Okay, maybe there's another step in this program. And I just continued to do what I felt compelled to do. And have that faith, because everything I did, even if I didn't know how it was going to work out, it's worked out in a way I couldn't have predicted.
And you said there were moments along the way where God was saying, just hold on, Dara.
Yeah.
I got you. Don't overthink it. I got you.
Yes. I'm a very impatient person. I like to have all the answers. I like to fix everything. And at this point, I had to let God handle it. And I had to trust that it was going to work out. I had to trust that if I did the right things, and I had that feeling of what was the right thing to do, and I did it, that has served me well for the last year.
Can we see a picture of Dara when she was under school? We got those pictures. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Dara, you just don't look happy.
I was gone.
Different. Yeah, and that one on the right is of you on the plane, right?
That is September 29th of last year when I got on the airplane and I was going to meet my cousin. He picked me up at the airport and drove me to Morrison, the detox at Red Rock.
Do you know what's so fascinating to me about our pictures? And thank God for the days of social media. Because we have these like before and after pictures. And when I got sober, people were always, even people that didn't know I was sober, they'd say, your eyes look different.
Yeah.
They could always see it in the eyes. Those photos, you look empty.
I was
this
empty.
This is what addiction does to us. It takes everything out of us. And now you look complete, full, happy, full of joy. And I know life isn't, I don't want to oversell it, right? Like, it's not that life is perfect, but you have joy.
Life is not perfect, but I have a life that I couldn't have imagined. And it's just getting started. I have a career that I'm passionate about. I'm open about my recovery, which I never was before. I've lost the shame that I had. I would never would have sat up here and put it publicly that, I'm a recovered alcoholic. But something in me has shifted, and I feel compelled to, be a voice for other people.
Yeah. What just in like 2 sentences, or you can say more if you want, but how was your faith? How was it restored or renewed? I mean, how did you get there?
It goes back to that night where I can't explain it fully to anyone. It's only really between me and God, that conversation that night, the way it went down, and something shifted. And I have known from that moment, even if I don't know how things are going to go, that God's got me, and I know I've had some disagreements. God and I have certainly, disputed. Dara thinks Dara's life should go a certain way. And, that does not ever work out for me. It never works. But I know that I'm okay. Like, I'm essentially okay. Lots of things can happen. Lots of bumps in the road can happen. And I'm okay.
And Dara, I know you said this entire year from you has been a Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 kind of year where you've got to trust in something greater than yourself, trusting in God and God making your path straight. But you also have, you come in as the loved one of an addict too. And what do you say about that? Give hope to those watching their loved ones.
I do feel like I'm in a unique position, having been an alcoholic in recovery and being in a relationship with an addict. I know that this community reaches out uniquely to, loved ones and family members of the addicts too. And it's just an entirely different thing. You can want more than anything, love that person more than anything, but you can't control it. And for me, giving up that control of trying to fix it and focusing on my own life and my own process has been the biggest thing. It takes a big weight off of you when you can be confident that if you pray for that person, which I do, you pray for them and you know that they're held by God. God is going to have them.
I think you and I talked about this earlier, the whole trusting God project, so much of it is about letting go. So much of it is about realizing we can't control it.
Right.
The only thing we can do to trust in something bigger than us is to let that thing go and trust that God's got it.
Yeah, if he can, if I can come out of where I was at and I was in a miserable person, then I have a lot of faith that, this person that I love and other people who are in the midst of addiction and alcoholism, he can reach them too.
Yeah.
And they can make a comeback too. It just takes a little bit of faith and openness. It just takes that window. And if you love somebody that's in the middle of it, my parents loved me more than anything, and they would have done anything for me. You can't fix it for them. Yeah. And I had to be ready when I was ready, and I was ready.
Dara, thank you so much for braving through this tonight and sharing some of your story with us and being part of this community. Seriously, I love that you were part of this community and your parents too. Can you stick around tonight?
I can.
If you want to stick around and talk to Dara, ask her some questions, or congratulate her on a year of sobriety, do so. Let's give it up for Dara Kaplan. Thank you, Dara.
Thank you.
So good to have you here. Y'all, I don't even know what we're doing next. I got to pull up my notes. Usually we do some heartaches together, which is exactly what we're going to. What's that? Oh, I'm going to sit down. Man, they just tell me what to do around here. I just do what I'm told. All right, y'all, how we close things down in this community is we do the same thing that we did with celebrations. If you're new with us, we do this every single week. We believe in carrying our heartaches together, the burdens, because the truth is y'all suck at carrying these things alone. So we carry them together in community. You weren't designed to carry and walk the journey alone. We do it together in community. So we're going to take 3 minutes. And the reason we don't start with this is because sometimes this community, we could get bogged down with the hard stuff. We don't shy away from it. We just don't start with it. So give us the heartaches, the burdens you're carrying. We have a prayer team on site here that prays for you throughout the week. And this community, you lift one another up throughout the week. I know through text messages and Instagram messages and Facebook and however y'all communicate. So keep doing that. It makes a huge difference. And I know this community gets that in such a powerful way. Let's take 3 minutes, do some heartaches, and then we'll come right back. Sound good? In 2020 of an overdose. And man, it's a conversation we got to keep having. You want to do one more? We're live, but
My friend's husband is still on a ventilator with COVID.
prayers for your friend's husband. I know you've been lifting them up a couple weeks now. Did you got to get on this side of me? Are you joining me tonight?
Apparently.
Tammy's taking a night off because she has been roasting and packaging. And Kavita, you look tired too. Kavita helped with all this madness. So Tammy said other people are going to help tonight. She's sitting right here, but she's not getting in front of the camera. So Drew, it's good to have you here, dude.
Thanks, man.
You're not as pretty as my wife, but
No.
it's good to have you here.
Only on Tuesdays.
Only on Tuesdays. Let's go right here on this camera, and you do the first one.
All right. Prayers for Jen's mom this is Christy, as she goes for back surgery this week, hoping her leg pain will be relieved and her recovery will be swift. No pun intended.
Prayers, Christy. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thanks
Yes.
for sharing that. We'll
Prayers
lift
for
that
Jen's
up for
mom.
sure.
Yep. Mike Anderson says, please pray for my cousins and my dad. Mike, by the way, it's good to have you here every single week. I'm gonna get the state wrong. Pennsylvania? No, is it Chicago?
Chicago's not a state.
Chicago. Chicago's not a state. Illinois. Sorry, Mike. I was close. Chicago's not a state. Please pray for my cousins and my dad. My aunt passed away. She has my dad's twin and helped me when I was at my bottom. Mike, prayers for the whole family, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm glad
We'll
you're part of
lift
this
that up.
community. Lifting you up, bro.
It's good to see your name on a regular basis, honestly.
Yeah, it is. One day
Really
we're going
is.
to meet him.
I know, right? It's pretty cool. It really is.
It is, man.
Anyway, Jen, she says, asking for many prayers for my mom. She has had back surgery scheduled for this Wednesday, 10/6. She has lived with so much pain, praying the surgery will give her more mobility without the pain. Absolutely, Jen. We'll lift that up with you in your spirit. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, Jen. Prayers
tough.
for you. Prayers for the mom. Should we do one more? Sydney says, last week, Bobby G. What? Sydney? Bobby G and I found out. What? Oh, now I see why you are saying that. We found out we're going to have a baby. And then on Thursday, we found out that we lost that baby. It's an interesting thing to process and work through. Just asking for prayers and healing as we continue to trust the process. Sydney and Bobby, man, love y'all. Glad you're here helping out the tech team, and so sorry for your loss. And thank you for trusting that with this community. Lifting you all up, sending good vibes this week.
Yeah. Send them good vibes, people. They do a lot for this community.
Yes, they
so
do.
They could use it. We love you guys.
One more. Let's do one more. Drew, you take
They're
this.
saying one. Is that what they go like this?
Yeah,
And
that's-
that means
that's
one
the-
more.
That's the.
Oh man, that's math. All
Come
right.
on, man.
All right, Jeff, please pray for the family of our family's large animal vet, Dr. Jerry Fox. He passed this week from his battle with cancer. May God hold him and his family through this difficult time.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Jeff. I'm glad you tuned in, and thank you for sharing that. I know it's tough. Our condolences, and I know I'll be lifting you up this week for sure in prayers. So
Yeah, brother, it's good to see you here. Glad you're here, Jeff, online and when you're in person. But it's good to see you, brother. Prayers for you. Drew, thanks for being here, dude.
yeah, thanks for
Our
having me.
tech
man.
team lead
Hi,
can
Mom.
also do. Come on, man. This dude does so much for the community, it's ridiculous. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate you, brother. All right, y'all. Speaking of doing so much for the community, I just have to remind you, you know, usually we have our wagon right here, but we got this thing last week. Thank you, Noelle. Noelle's not here. Noelle's not here. She's at she's in the mountains doing something fun. So anyway, our wagon is now by the front door, but we have a giving box on the wagon. It's actually a Kleenex box, but we have giving boxes scattered throughout. And truly, I tell you all this every week. I don't need to manipulate y'all. It is truly your generous giving, and I know for many of you that is a spiritual practice and something you take very seriously. And we just say thank you for your generous giving. It helps keep the message thriving of breaking the silence of addiction and creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. So there's a few boxes here, but there's also ways to give online. And the first way, do we have the video tonight? Did we? Oh, we I didn't. I clearly was not on my game tonight with tech stuff. But you can download the app. It's free. It's the free Spiritual Community app. And you can give there weekly or however y'all want to do it, one time or all the time, however you do it. And then free Spiritual Community website /give. You can give online. It's safe, secure, easy, or you can text the number on your screen and give that way. And truly, y'all, we are so grateful for your giving. It's what's allowing us to move into this space and to do the renovations that we're going to do to create a home there. And y'all, it's going to be good. I'm so glad you are part of this and we get to do this. It is another Saturday night where we get to be here and do this together. Can we close in prayer? And as we were reminded earlier on one of those pages in Faith After Doubt, don't clench your fists. Y'all, you don't need to live that way. There's a better way. You can open your fists. Open your hands. Open your heart for a moment. It's good. Let your heart breathe. All the good things you're carrying, all the hard things you're carrying, let it all breathe. God is with us in all of it. Breathe in some gratitude. Yeah, it's good. Life is good. And let's close with the Lord's Prayer. If you don't know it, it'll be on your screen. It starts with this: Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. My free brothers and sisters, this week, may you trust God from the bottom of your heart, and may you experience all kinds of grace and peace along the journey, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all for being here.